StarField is the new IP coming to us from Bethesda. It's been in the works for 25 years, and unfortunately we were recently told that it will not be released until sometime in 2023. This has come as a little bit of a shock to some players and not to others, knowing how game development tends to work these days. Though it does mean we're all going to have to wait a little while longer for it. So here's some games I'll be playing between now and then to keep myself entertained. First on the list is No Man's Sky. At release it was really hyped, and back in 2016 when it came out there were quite a lot of disappointed people. However, since then huge amounts of content have been added, making the game much more deeper and giving it lots more interesting bits of gameplay. Recent updates also include pirate systems and outlaw space stations. Expeditions are run fairly regularly on the game as well, which let you complete a set of goals to unlock various items, a lot of which you can't get anywhere else. No Man's Sky really has a great base building system, and it lets you build your own bases and tailor them for different types of resource production or whatever you want them to be. It's a modular system, and hopefully this is something that we saw hinted at in the StarField gameplay preview, that they'll be implementing a similar type of system into that game. You can also build out your capital ships in the same way, building bases into the huge ships that you can take across systems. Whilst it was shallow at release, loads of content's been added and it's now really good fun. Next is Elite Dangerous, which is all about exploration and is a lot more of a sim game really than an arcade game or anything like that. It's all about exploration, and one of the things that I really like with Elite is that once you get out into space, I feel it really captures the isolation of our universe really well. Once you leave the bubble, there are very few people out there, and you can go many systems without a space station. The universe is modelled on our real universe, which means you can go and find various solar systems and locations from actual reality. And there are also historic probes and things like that floating around in space that you can go and find and see what they're transmitting these days. In recent years they've added on foot activities, and these allow you to leave your ship and explore the galaxy on foot or in various types of vehicle. The community is really strong, and the developers regularly hold streams online talking about the game. There's more to come, though recently they have decided to stop updating the console versions of the game, and it's just on PC. Fallout 76 makes the list because it's a Bethesda game and hopefully we'll have that Bethesda feeling. I've not played it much yet, I've only played a little bit of it, but having played hours and hours of Fallout 4, it seems to be a similar engine, perhaps with some nicer lighting. It's another title that was quite poorly received at launch because mainly it was aimed at PvP content. There was little guidance or story for the player to engage in, and people wanted a new Fallout game really, I suppose, not an online PvP sandbox. I never played the game at launch, but I'm led to believe that it now includes a lot of single player questline stuff, and there's numerous ways for solo players to enjoy the game without PvP, and basically just experience Fallout and the Fallout universe, just set in another part of America. It's all very brown that I've seen so far, so it fits the usual Fallout colours, and hopefully I'll get to play some more of the solo questline and find out exactly what's been happening in West Virginia. I've only recently discovered Journey to the Savage Planet, but in short it's to collect the resources, return to base and build a new tool to access a new area with new resources, FPS them up. There are some platform type puzzles from what I've seen so far, and I've spent a healthy amount of time feeding one type of alien life form to another type of alien life form. There's quite a dark humour throughout the game, and I imagine that keeps on coming, and a vaguish storyline which follows sort of recordings from the company's owner asking you to do certain things and trying to push you to continue with your mission and see what you can find. There's sort of a leveling up system where you kind of, eat this weird like amber stuff that you find. And the setting overall is quite colourful and light-hearted, though like I say there is this streak of dark humour throughout. Overall I've enjoyed what I've played so far, and I hope to continue the game, and maybe I'll do some more content on that one later on.
Sure.
The Outer Worlds is a game that I've really enjoyed, and it makes this list simply because I will probably play it again at some point in the next sort of 6 months to a year. It's an epic open world space game from the creators of the Fallout series. It's pretty much what StarField might have been if it was released a few years ago. It's had a bunch of DLCs since, I think 2 that have been quite good, and adding new stories and new areas to the game. There's a decent mix of companions to it, I think it's capped at 6, and only 2 of which can accompany you at any one time. There's some really good writing in it, and it's got a really dark sense of humour, as well as some fairly easy but enjoyable gunplay, as well as all the huge variations of armour and things like that you can get to customise your character and play it the way you want, with first person shooter action or melee action if you want. It feels very much like a Bethesda RPG, it has all the same conversation mechanics, and overall it's just a good game. Some of the titles that I might hit along the way: Elder Scrolls Online is a game by Bethesda and ZeniMax, or maybe it still is, I'm not entirely sure anymore. The Elder Scrolls Online is great if you love the Elder Scrolls lore and you want to just immerse yourself in that universe. It's had loads of expansion since launch, and there's now loads and loads of content for you to do, as well as all the PvP stuff that you can do in game if you want to. If you like the Elder Scrolls lore, like I say, I'm sure you'll love it. Though sometimes it can get a little bit grindy when you're in the PvE world. Overall though, I'd say it's great if you love Elder Scrolls, just get stuck in. Fallout London is a fan-built mod, I guess, for Fallout 4, though I guess it's what you call a total conversion, or what we used to call total conversions. Essentially, it's a whole new Fallout game set in London. There's new factions, new weapons, enemies, armour, and I'm sure there'll be lots of British cliches and bad Cockney voice acting along the way. I guess it's going to be free, so when that drops, I may also look at picking that item up. EVE Online has now been out so long, it's definitely the oldest game on this list. I played EVE Online a lot back in the day, and it's basically a good space game if you enjoy a little bit more strategy around the build out of your ship, and sort of how you fit your ship for combat or whatever you're wanting to do. It's an MMO, but it does have a free-to-play version, except that your character is capped at a certain amount of skill points, and there's certain ships that you can't fly, or you can't even do certain activities unless you have a paid account. It's really pretty. Its engine's been updated a few times since it was released, and it looks really nice. The only thing to mention is, of course, PvP is always on EVE Online, so if you fly to certain systems where there's no security, you could get attacked by any other player in the game. It's got a really good community, there's lots of people playing it still, and if you want to sink some time into something, why not look at that one. Something that isn't on this list at all, and I probably won't be playing before StarField comes out, is Star Citizen. It looks amazing, it looks great, but everything I still see of it is so buggy, and it looks to have a really steep learning curve, and I just don't think I'm going to find the time between now and the time that StarField arrives to really sink my teeth into that one and start having a play with it properly. So there you have it, that's what I'm going to be playing between now and quarter or half one of 2023. I hope some of these games on the list either you haven't heard of and you get inspired to play them, or you've played them before and you just feel like going back and enjoying the nostalgia. Thanks for watching, and see you on the StarField.